Yeah.
Looking at all the major issues every Tuesday at 9 p.m. It's Fan Central.
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winford Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Every dream conquered is another dream gained. I land and I fly again like a jet plane. Headed straight in your direction. 'Cause I'm wiser, one step closer. I'm winning 'cause I work so hard. And the music you to play and the people that must say we are my show tonight. Oh, what a feeling. Don't stop dreaming. Keep on believing in the power of the feeling. Whatever you want, take a chance. Song in your heart, step in your dance. You got the spark, don't put it down. Shine your lights on.
Hey everybody, I'm Yendi, and this is Odyssey with Yendi. In this space, we connect with some of your favorite people as they share their journeys. Here we have some unfiltered conversations as we deep dive into their inspirations, motivations, and experiences to inspire our own life journey.
It's time.
Welcome to High School Pitchside. We have another fascinating episode for you.
More matches, more big clashes,
Let's talk about some of the big rivalries coming up this week.
more of your favorite features,
And trust me, you won't fall asleep in this history class.
and of course, we always want to hear from you.
Hear from your alma mater's players and coaches in Team Talk.
You know we can't leave you out. So send us your messages on social media and watch us react on FanView.
And you know we love a good little debate, right, Gio?
We've got you covered all season long on High School Pitchside.
High School Pitchside, your ultimate guide to all things schoolboy football, Thursdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV. Where it all begins. The quest to become great. Inspired by those who went before them, these four boys dream of playing in the ISSA schoolboy football competitions.
Will he score this for Casey? Will he score? It's a shot, it's a goal!
And it's a shot, and it's a goal! And KC has won the Manning Cup, and they will play Clarendon College in the Olivia Shield. And that's what you love to see. They may be rivals, but the camaraderie is what it's all about. Can't wait for the final.
When the bus the man, I want to watch my son play finals on CBM, you know.
But mums, you can't watch it on CBM website, man.
Score! My son score! My son score! My son score! My son score!
Greatness begins here.
for joining us for CVM News at noon. It's Tuesday, the 11th of the 11th month, 2025. I'm Amoy Harriet. The confirmed death toll from Hurricane Melissa has climbed to 45. 15 persons are still missing. Information Minister Dr. Dana Morris Dixon made the disclosure during a press briefing held earlier this morning.
Numbers that have been confirmed, and just noting these have been confirmed by the JCF, so they have investigated and they have concluded that these deaths were associated with the hurricane, and they have done so in conjunction with the JDF. And so the total confirmed fatalities coming out of Hurricane Melissa now stands at 45. And I'll go through parish by parish. Hanover, 2. Westmoreland, 15, St. James, 6, Trelawney, 2, St. Anne, 1, Portland, 1, St. Elizabeth, 18. So that's a total confirmed of 45. In terms of postmortems, they have been able to conduct 33 postmortems to date. And there are some that they're waiting to do the postmortems on. And so that is the confirmed number. The confirmed number is 45. And I know those are 45 families that are hurting deeply.
Meanwhile, Minister of Energy, Telecommunications and Transport Darrell Vaz says both of the island's international airports have now reopened following their temporary shutdown during the passage of Hurricane Melissa. He says the resumption of operations will allow for the arrival of overseas relief support as well as the gradual return of regular travel services.
Airports, both Sangster and Norman Manley International Airport, continue to operate steadily, maintaining consistent flight activity since reopening on October 29th. Between October 29th and November 10th, the country's airports collectively handled 1,138 flights, reflecting strong recovery and sustained air traffic to support both commercial travel and ongoing humanitarian operations across the island.
A looming health crisis. That's how health officials in Western Jamaica are describing the situation on the ground. The possibility of outbreaks of typhoid, dengue and other vector-borne diseases are raising alarm following widespread flooding caused by Hurricane Melissa. Now, Dr. Dana Campbell is a medical doctor and a member of Parliament for Westmoreland Eastern.
You also have the disposal of human waste, right? So some of these persons, I'm not quite sure where they're disposing their waste at this point in time. Then you have dead animals that if we don't deal with that situation, right, you try to bury them, but then I don't want none of the pet lovers to say anything, but you might have to burn some of them just to try and get rid of the carcass out of the space so that it doesn't become a host for some vector, some disease-causing agent. So there are going to be a lot of concerns. And I'm saying this is ground zero. This is a place where we've had more than 50% of the deaths if we do not get urgent attention. And I'm not being an alarmist. I keep saying to persons, if you do not believe me, if you think that I'm just on a soapbox making noise and pontificating, just come and have a look. I'm not trying to get people to overwhelm the space who are not doing anything in the space, right, to cause the traffic to be bad. But I'm saying, if you don't believe me, take a look at it. It is really that bad.
Meanwhile, in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Dr. Kassan Troop, is urging teachers, principals, students and parents to seek counseling support to help them cope with the emotional impact from the wide-scale destruction caused by Melissa.
The destruction, the mood of the principal and staff and the parents that we have seen there in high spirit, they are hopeful, and as a ministry we have assured them of our support and that we stand in solidarity with them. We're very happy to learn that yes, we are ready to move beyond where we are located. So we can provide teleconferencing and we can have people come to us wherever they are, or we can reach to them. And they gave us their numbers to share nationally. So we have over 21 of those 39 clinicians who said we are ready to go beyond the walls of Kingston or wherever we are located to reach our people. I want to make the appeal. The psychosocial support is not a traditional support. We don't necessarily have to be in a room to have the therapeutic skill set be available to our teachers. We can call our clinicians. So principals, I know you are working on your teachers and you are putting together, but you too will need a counselor.
Now, relief supplies are now pouring out to victims in Westmoreland, especially those marooned in the flood-prone communities, including McNeil Land, as well as Little London. Now, residents have received foreign aid and assistance from private investors.
Different from Mr. Miles. He's here giving us some water, and we're grateful for that. I want to say thank you, Mr. Miles, for everything that you're doing. Continue to do the good work that you're doing.
Now, while many are still reeling from the devastation caused by Hurricane Melissa, one father and his son in northern Clarendon are doing their part to bring comfort and connection to affected residents. The duo has been assisting community members with internet access, helping them to reach out to family and friends as communication lines remain unstable.
I drive around with the internet on my car. Like people still get connected with them friends and family overseas or who they hear locally where they're in a ear or not so damaged. Because as you know, the telecommunication service, we go under 40%. So it's like a minimal amount of person here could actually send or receive information. Where in this era, I was like the only person. You understand? So we just go around, check, do some aerial, make sure say everybody all right and give update, make them talk to them family and all of them things there.
Now, opposition spokesman on education, Damian Crawford, says the call by the Jamaica Teachers Association for psychosocial support for both students and teachers is necessary after any disaster for adequate teaching and learning. Now, State Minister in the Education Ministry, Rhoda Moy Crawford, told CBM News, quote, "Now is not the time for dissenting voices," in response to the call from JTA President Mark Malavro. Now, she noted that the JTA meets with the ministry monthly and that the sentiments from Mr. Malavro were insincere. Mr. Crawford insists the JTA's call is not different from what the ministry says it's doing.
That we're in a negative state doesn't mean that dissent isn't necessary, because you may save us from incorrect decisions when you see something wrong. So therefore, we shouldn't all just do anything that we're instructed because we're in a bad time. Because even when we speak to reopening of schools, there's very little conversation about the importance of the teacher to that. It is mostly, oh, we need the students to get back. And so therefore, because of that inseparability of teaching and learning, then you must ensure that both individuals are considered and as far as the thing is concerned.
Now, Director General of the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, Commander Alvin Gale, has announced more than 80,000 care packages and over 500 meals have been distributed through the National Relief System, adding that ODPEM will begin publishing a list of marooned and priority communities today to better coordinate ongoing recovery efforts.
In terms of community access, there are currently 2 communities which we have classified as marooned. To be clear, marooned communities refer only to communities that are completely cut off and solely accessible by air, where no road, be it double or single access, is available. These communities can only be reached by air. The 2 communities this morning are Petersville in Westmoreland and Ducketts in St. James. The 2 maroon communities did receive drops yesterday, and I'm assured by the time I'm speaking this morning, we'll also do 2 other helicopter lifts into those communities. Ongoing relief operations, particularly in the northern parishes, could be hampered by intermittent showers and thunderstorms through Thursday. These showers and thunderstorms may be heavy at times. Wind impacts may also impact the relief efforts. Weather conditions are forecasted to improve significantly through the course of Friday, with fair to partly conditions expected.
And it's time for a break. Stay with us. More when we return.
I had an opportunity
to firsthand see the devastation that this record Category 5 hurricane has caused on the nation. Let me reassure you, Jamaica, let me reassure you, my customers, that we here at JPS stand committed to work safely 24/7 to get the power restored.
Well, as for me personally, mess up totally. Door blow off, house full of water, set to your thing. But as a worker of the company, I have to be out here to help. But I will stick to the task to make this be a reality where people get a light and be happy again once more. JPS, love you.
It has been a very terrible situation in Montego Bay, especially where I come from. I am from Friendship. The storm Melissa has destroyed a lot of stuff, but nevertheless, as a worker, I am following my duty. I'm here to show up and to deliver, and I'm here to assist in recovering. And whatever it takes, we want Jamaica to know that we are here and we are moving forward. And there is hope.
Welcome back to CVM News at noon. Now, as we continue our coverage of the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa, we're now joined by Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining, Floyd Green, who is also the Member of Parliament for St. Elizabeth Southwestern. Welcome, Minister.
Thank you, Amoy, and good afternoon to all our viewers.
So, Minister Green, you're slated to give an update on the fisheries sector in Parliament later today, but can you say the specific issues facing that sector coming out of Hurricane Melissa?
Yeah, well, today I will give a comprehensive update, not just on the fisheries sector, but on agriculture in general. I'll also speak a little bit to mining in terms of some of the impact that Hurricane Melissa has had. But the focus will be on agriculture and fisheries. And I will use the opportunity to outline, firstly, the sort of damage and loss that the sectors have suffered from Hurricane Melissa. Clearly, we've had our radar field officers out doing the various assessments. It has been challenging, as you can imagine, especially in some of our hardest hit areas. We've also had the National Fisheries Authority team out across our fishing beaches and our Agro-Invest Corporation in our agri-parks, just looking at the extent of the damage. So clearly, in both agriculture and fisheries, I will speak to the costs. We had already put forward some preliminary figures, so we already know that it will be in excess of $20 billion. But I will speak to some of the specifics. So how many fishing beaches have been impacted? How many boats have been lost? What percentage of our yam crop have been lost? Our egg production, what does that look like? And I will also take the time to outline some of our preliminary plans for recovery.
Minister, our news team was in St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland late last week, and we spoke to officials in the area who told us that a fish shortage is looming. One, do you agree with this? Which, by the way, they said that by December we'd start to see the brunt of this shortage. One, do you agree with this? And two, what measures, if anything, are being put in place to mitigate against this?
Well, what I can say is that definitely our fisheries sector has been hard hit. Already, we have lost about 40% of our fishing fleet. So that is significant. Some of our very active fishing beaches like Parati and Galleon and White House, Bluefields, all of those beaches are completely devastated. So all their infrastructure is gone. And unfortunately, a lot of their officials would have suffered damage to boat and engine, which means it's going to be very difficult for them to get back out there. Clearly, what we will be doing is, one, trying to help those officials build back, but also in the areas where there's not that much damage, where maybe there's damage to infrastructure, but the boats and the engines are ready to go, We're going to be providing some support to fishers so they can get out as quickly as possible. Now, I think if we can get our fishers back out there, provide them with things like fishing wire, fishing net, the rope, so that they can make their pots. I think if we can get them back out there, then we can try to ward off any sort of shortage. But still early days yet, it is a tremendous blow to our fishery sector, but we will be intervening to try and ensure that we have a secure supply of fish.
Minister, the $20 billion that you mentioned earlier, what's that? The estimate for fisheries specifically, or the entire sector to include agriculture?
Entire sector, and that is just preliminary. So today in Parliament, I will outline a more detailed assessment that came out of our first meetings last week, but clearly the team has worked throughout the weekend to get into some of the harder hit areas and have updated those figures. We now have comprehensive figures for our fisheries sector and other subsectors, like what is happening in relation to our coffee farmers, what is happening in relation to our poultry farmers. So, I will give a sort of comprehensive